pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim, come on down. As I understand, Gina, you contacted the office?
Yeah.
And you knew we had a meeting and wanted to come in and talk?
Yes.
Okay, and it's mutual things between you two, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
come on,
involves them, that's why.
come on down.
It involves them?
Well,
No.
And my budget.
no.
You're not gonna help out?
We had talked earlier about adding sand to Perch Beach, getting permit for all that. Now that we're having concerts down there, we thought, well, maybe while we're doing that, we would, fix the lawn that's there, as loam and whatever. So we talked to Steve Wingate about the permit issues or whatever. He's come up with this. Said we could probably try to turn this permit in, which would involve fixing the loam, but also the drainage, because now the swale that's at the beach kind of drains into the lake, not away from it. And fixing the parking lot and the drainage in that, and adding a swale closer to the road to take the water and, that's beyond my pay grade. So, he also talked about doing it as part of his watershed project. I think we'd like to improve the beach area, and if we're gonna do all this, we might as well do it all at once. But just wanted to let you know that's where we're looking at it, not just adding sand to the Perch Beach. And it would be a wetlands and shoreline permit.
So this isn't gonna happen this year?
No, this is a CIP project,
Right.
so, but it, and, you know,
Sounds good to me.
Can you, Steve Wingate, and Jim work as a committee and come up with, a plan? Now, as I understand, that's the first question. You guys work as a committee?
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, you already have commingled your resources, and as usual happens, both Clay and Jim end up working step in step with other people like that. As I understand it, so there's no misunderstanding, where the rocks are that make it a Perch Beach, from there to the water is not touched.
Correct.
When we say sand on the beach, we're talking about where people put their blankets.
Perch Beach, yes.
Okay, there seems to be massive confusion about that. It's clear in my mind, it's clear in your mind, it's clear in your guys' mind, but it's these,
It's not the shoreline,
that's right. Sure, I have no
Well, we're
problem.
gonna have, the neighbors got a different reading of what the sand, additional sand means. I mean, I've read the permit as well, the original permit, and we do have to ask permission to put more sand on the
Yes.
first part.
Yes.
So,
but at that point, there's no point filing for that permit just to do that.
Yeah,
It's
they
gonna
must
be
well do
part
the
of the
whole
whole
thing.
process.
And the neighbors I've spoken to, that's their understanding too.
okay.
And the neighbors that have spoken with me and the conversations I've had, we left on the same page.
Yeah. Is there, I guess the other thing that you need to look at is why are we using the sand? So can we stabilize that
Well, that's, yeah, the
Embankment.
whole,
so we don't have to continue to revisit
yeah.
this?
And that's where it would, you need a shoreline architect or whatever
Right.
to come up with a plan
Shoreline architect, there's somebody for every job.
and.
Well, you and I go back, and you do too, before the beach was there. It's done a lot of nice things, provided a lot of good times for a lot of people, so, and it continues, so, like that. I had also some issues with the beach. As you come in the road, there's the new wooden fence that's been put in. And I have seen several different times as I go by, trucks backed in there with trailers, boat trailers. Shouldn't there be a couple no parking signs right there, or is it part of the parking for swimming? Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a jag, the road here, and then it comes into the parking lot like
Yes, no,
that.
I know.
What are your thoughts? It's your beach.
Well,
Well, excuse me, you guys are there more than we are.
yeah, well, I was actually there 4th of July morning and there was a boat trailer left there. I don't think there should be, I thought the idea was that the parking lot across the street was for that. And that should not, those should not be left there.
Just need a parking permit to be over there. So you have to go through
I mean,
the
3 weeks
process.
ago, there were 2 pickup trucks with empty boat trailers back in the handicap spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like I'm trying to make them out to be criminals. I'm not.
No, and I mean, you can put up all the signs you want, but it's not gonna deter them from, they're gonna do what they're gonna do it, I guess. unless
Well,
it's
I mean, you
enforced.
just have to have a patrol.
Yeah.
I mean, people need to get ticketed or it's not.
Does it make sense to have 2 more no parking signs put in? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? The little jag
Yes,
like that? Do you have the signs in stock, or do you have to buy them individually?
we would probably have to buy those. I'm not sure that we have any left
Yeah.
I'll put schedule eight.
Okay. And whose budget do they come out of?
from sign budget, I guess, which is
Yeah,
already hurting, but.
Right.
it's already tapped.
As far as enforcement, can you speak to the police chief, and can you also send a request like that? Now, the chief is working with us on a project for parking along 109, starting, going up the hill, away from the store, toward Melvin. And that's kind of challenging at times. Also, the signs that go on the fence, he's working on those. The other thing is he's working on the signs that are on the dock because they have 2 different times.
Oh, really?
Yes, we've also asked him to work on enforcement, and also can he be a partner in, the island people asked this, is there a way of expanding the parking lot? I don't know those things, but, no, these are all things that, no, they all involve all of us, so. And if you have any input or any thoughts, please feel free. I had a couple of other questions, but do you have anything?
No, I was just hoping the computer issue got straightened around or answered, or
You want
did you got yourself a new computer? And what we're trying to do is come up with a comprehensive policy with regard to
Right.
computers and town usage. And personally, I think the easier way to do it would be for us to provide you with a computer, but that's not how it's worked in the past, so.
Right, and what that computer was bought for was to hold the program for the swim team.
So it's a swim team program.
Yeah. Because they asked, well, can we do it on a town computer? Yeah, I really think you can, but,
Well, the thing is, and I mean this as nicely as possible, please, I'm not second guessing, is I work at the school, and they have some computers at the library that are being upgraded, and nonprofits, you know, can get them. And I mean, I've already found homes for 3 of them, and they're not, you know, they're computers that have been in the library, and they're a little bit bigger than this,
and that's
so.
what this laptop was. It's a $238 laptop. It's hardly a, you know, and that's essentially what it was a place for this
The,
swim meet.
the other issue has nothing to do with your personnel, but she mentioned it, and computers and interaction and the safety of them and the protection of them and who owns them and who insures them. It's a brand new science. I'll give you an example. All the members of the budget committee had it explained to them. If you start into combining town function with your personal computer, you're putting yours at risk, plus you're putting the town at risk. stuff like that. That's where it's coming from. And this guy here has had a lot more experience with the county.
Oh, yeah, not with computers.
But, and when he brought it up, and when Bill brought it up, it was not adversarial.
Well, it's easier I mean, Parks and Rec probably needs a computer. If you run a swim program on it, you run a swim program. But if you're doing emails, you're doing Parks and Rec, business as in notifications and all of that, or whatever. This project, for instance, should be ideally on a town-owned computer that you are running.
Right.
And then if, God forbid, something happens to you, all of this stuff that is involved in your programs is in one place, and it's ours as opposed to...
Right, well, Parks and Rec has an email.
Right, but what I'm talking about is the hardware.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Just saying, I just access that through the
Right.
web portal, I don't.
right. But let's say you drive out of here today and you get in a car accident and you're not with us anymore. Now you've got a personal computer that's part of your estate, if you will, that contains town business. It just is muddy. It would be a lot easier, I think, and cleaner for us to provide you with a computer. And probably every one of the departments or boards should be provided with computers. And that way, it just, if we get a 91A request, we're not, and I don't know why they would for Parks and Rec, but let's assume there was a 91A request for your department. Now, you may have other things on that computer that you have no intention of sharing, but due to the abilities of computer people, your stuff's all subject to
Well,
disclosure.
that came up too, we needed the computer to run the software, but what are we gonna do with it the rest of the time?
Right.
Because it can't just sit in a box, it should be,
Right. Well, at any rate, that's an issue that we need to...
And it's a solvable issue.
Yeah.
And as we get into the computer age, these are issues never had 20 years ago. So, because they
Well, we just
around.
went through an update on the town computers with our our town computer person. That should include that computer that you currently have. So we're all working with the same protections and the same, whatever they do. It's computers, I don't know.
I had a couple of other things I wanted to review with you. At some point, the brush needs to be cut. Whose budget does that come out of, and when is it going to get done?
we should talk about that this morning.
Yeah. We don't have anything that's defined of what we're cutting and how much or anything like that. If it's something small, I guess we should just do it, the highway department will do it. If it's something larger, then I think that might have to wait till next year.
Okay. Like the fence, we had a private vendor do it. Everything seems to come back on your shoulders, and that's not fair either. So, but the brush can't be stripped down to nothing because there has to be, I want to say, a tuft left across the edge. Correct. On the other hand, we have lifeguards there and personnel there, and their view is blocked. It'd be too bad we talked about this months ago, something to happen, and they just physically can't see it. So, plus it's also aesthetic. It is.
Well, we have it mowed. Why don't we just include it in that person's list of duties? So whoever we contract the mowing with, just make sure everything's
That makes sense.
trimmed up.
Yep.
Rather than, we'll get into it, but we're not gonna impact this budget anymore.
Exactly.
We can't.
That's right.
Speaking of which, we actually do have to maintain the wharfs, I think, as far as mowing. That should be done on the same
Yeah.
contractor who does the mowing for the town,
Yeah.
should take care of the wharfs as well.
And I think it's more cost effective.
Yep. Sure. Well, this is what I would ask for next year. Could you and him work together? There are so many things that are half sheep and half dog. Taking in the docks, the lines, because he has the equipment and the manpower. This is the year I'm going to insist that things that bleed over from one department to another not be dumped on your shoulders, alone or your shoulders alone. If the program to be successful needs 3 people to commingle their resources, that needs to be articulated. I like what is called a program budget. An example is Diane, the last 3 years for the budget committee, is what does it cost, compensation, the total compensation package benefits. And she's come up with a form that it's all listed right there. And it may go in different places, but the point is the budget committee can look at it and understand what having a police department costs, or a fire department, or town government. Is that something you folks could work on?
Well, we've got docks and bridges. Obviously, you're taking the dock installation out of that line item. Is that how that works?
No.
I think it comes out of it.
Yeah, we put
Okay.
the docks in, we put the perimeter of swim lines out, we put the docks and the swim lanes in.
Okay.
It should all be together.
And
Well, I don't mind, who does it. It's where we're budgeting.
But
So
that's
we
it,
need to work
it's
on
his
parks
budget to
and.
put the lines out, ours to put the docks out.
Yeah, so,
And since we've been in town government, this is an ebb and flow. I can remember when budget committee insisted, for example, that each department pay its own electricity, its own telephone, its own furnace, its own this, and then a few years later, it goes the other way, it goes back and forth, which is their right. But I agree with what he says. I really don't
Well-
care who writes the check as long as it's accounted for.
yeah, I think it's less workable if, Parks and Rec has duties. They need to budget for those duties. And if they pay the highway department to do some of them, fine, they can just pay the highway department. If they pay a private contractor, they pay a private contractor. But hopefully, and I haven't dug into the Parks and Rec budget, hopefully all the expenses created by Parks and Rec or required by Parks and Rec are in their budget, and none of it's in the highway budget. That would be my hope.
Yes. I don't believe that's how it's set up at the moment.
Okay. Because it's difficult, then she's operating your budget, she's looking at the highway budget and saying, oh, he's got a couple of grand here of mine that he can do this with. So now she's operating 2 budgets, and you're operating a budget and thinking, as we'll discuss later, I need to move some stuff around here and make this work. And you're impacting her money at that point, so it just becomes really muddy.
A perfect example is the wooden fence that absolutely had to be fixed. I don't care who pays for it, it had to be fixed. Well, the first question is, whose budget is it coming out of? Well, there's going to be someone who's not happy, because neither one of you budgeted to repair $1,000 worth of fence. And budgets are tight, so, and it's nothing personal, but that's where he's coming from, that's where I'm coming from. And this is not a criticism, please don't take it personal. Anything else?
Personally,
Anything else for Park and Rec?
good outpouring of people for our concerts.
Yes,
Good,
yeah,
good, good.
even last night, we had about 40 people.
Wow.
Well, it's not Woodstock, but hey,
Diehards.
Quite a few people in the room know what
it was
Woodstock's all about.
raining.
It wasn't raining, it was, had stopped raining, and it was,
Did they have winter coats on? Or?
we had sweaters, definitely. It was cold.
That's why people come here in the summer.
That's, because you weren't at the meeting the other night,
Right, sorry.
That's okay.
Another
Yeah.
thing, could you 2 people think about the following? I think I have a place where the picnic tables in town can be stored during
Okay.
the winter.
because we're talking about buying some new ones this year.
Yeah. Like that, I'll meet with you guys. I think I found a garage that will store them for us. But that means, a bunch of people getting together, moving them, so, and as usual, who has the truck and the trailer? But, no, that's another thing, if there's a cost, that needs to be next year budgeted someplace. Thank you.
Right, and if we're gonna move everything that she requires into her budget, then Jim needs to be able to inform her what the pricing is so that she can properly budget. So, for instance, moving picnic tables.
Yep.
Is a Parks and Rec function. I would not like the Parks and Rec committee to guess at what the highway department's gonna charge them to move them, so
Makes sense.
we need to coordinate that issue.
Well, he bumps into this time and time again. We save well over $200 moving glass, because we pay for his truck hourly, the town truck hourly, plus they bring some material back. In the long run, it saves the town a lot of money, but it's still his guy for a couple of hours,
Right.
gas, fuel and whatnot.
Right.
So that's where we're coming from, Jim.
Great.
Anything else on beaches?
No.
We know that you work, and if you need to meet with us a little more regularly, like we're doing today, we can change our hours and be flexible.
I had today off, so that's why I intruded on this.
And you-
Jim's time.
and I think I speak for the town, and I'm sure I speak for the board. We just appreciate what you and your volunteers do to help, so I started as a swimming instructor at age 16, so Mary Tibbet, Steve Snow and I, so there's a smile there on my face. Anything else while you have the chair here? Okay. Anything else for it?
No, but anytime you want to, talk about the numbers, whatever.
Yep, okay.
You know, we can touch.
Thank you again.
Yep.
Have a nice race weekend.
Yes, have a good day.
No worries.
See you.
Love. So how you doing?
Well,
Hey, the roads came out nice. Did you see the note from B.G. Hodges?
I did, that was really nice.
Nice
of him.
job, so,
Yeah, he's pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought the lines came out good, looked really straight. And I actually did notice a big difference as far as the roads feel safer. After, just putting the white lines on, then the yellow lines. I don't know why, it felt lighter to me.
Yeah.
Felt lighter and safer. But
I had no compliments. Yes, cars go a little bit faster, but that's why we have police officers like this.
we can never stop.
So we have all that horsepower, right?
On the paving, I thought Carol did a great job with the edges, shoulders of the road. What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep, I've actually,
Now, with that in mind, is there still some money going to be left over in
Thank you.
the warrant article budget? And could they do the low areas on Union Wharf Road?
I'm hoping, I'm not sure at this point, I'm still waiting we haven't got their bill yet. But I would like to talk to him about it. I know he's really behind as well. If he has the time.
Would you pass on our thanks? I know a couple years ago, he actually wrote a letter. He enjoyed working with you and enjoyed working with the town, so.
Yeah, it's a great family, and they're very nice people.
And I know with the TAC meetings, I've put other towns onto them and they've used them and they're happy, so. It's just a thought that, first of all, there's money, I think, left over in the warrant article that's dedicated to
Correct.
roads and paving.
Yep.
The other thing is, and I learned this from you, is with their machine that vibrates, it presses the stuff down, it compacts it 8 or 9 inches rather than 3 or 4 with the handheld vibrators. So the people who are into the science of vibrating say that's important.
Now there are vibrating scientists. There's a job for everybody. There should be zero unemployment.
Okay, you had a handout here and you've given some
Do
thoughts.
they get degrees in it?
Yes, they do.
They must, yeah. Great.
Well, do they have a course?
Well, it's compaction, not vibrating, but.
I didn't mean to get complications going.
That's not any better.
That isn't any better.
Yeah, so I did come up with, some thoughts, and these are my ideas of how to cut from accounts from my budget to allow for more winter, which is,
Is the $32,000 for the road agent what we pay you?
it's not so much, it is.
Okay.
And the reason why we had come up with a number to separate what you pay me basically from what you pay Mountainside, because it was all just Jim Beam originally. And that's how it's always been, was, the road agent
Yeah.
distributes because they have to handle their own employees and whatnot. But what we came up with is we're paying, the town is also paying what's it called? For
Workman's
Workman's comp. And then I'm paying my guys for the workman, on the workman's comp. So we're paying twice. And
If I remember correctly, it was your first year that was here, that it was Darlene and Kathy Pounder said, hey, wait a minute, the town is actually in effect paying some of these fees twice. And they got together, I know, with my first year, they said, why don't we call it Jim Beam? Now, there's a couple of individuals who think that's your salary. It's
Yeah.
not. Again, they had to come up with a name for it, and that's what they called it.
Right.
And I think it's probably saved the town, isn't it?
So the
So money.
$17,000 that's come out of that so far, what was that spent on? I guess that's my,
on road agent, you mean?
yeah,
That's me when I'm, doing different jobs.
okay.
We have to come up with,
Right, but part of your labor is paid for under that line.
Correct.
And part of it is contracted out through these other lines.
correct, we separated Jim Beam and Mountainside just to save the town some money. It used to be all Jim Beam for the first 2 or 3 years, I believe. And,
But you make that decision,
correct.
okay,
With Diane, because I know that
Well-
you bring me in and you sit with her.
yeah. I'm fine with the setup, I just need to know, I mean, you're taking $2,000, I'm not looking for anybody to take a $2,000 pay cut.
Okay, no, that's,
So,
it's fine.
That's, okay. On the summer maintenance, you spent $46,356. What it's not roadside mowing, it's not culverts, it's not apron paving, it's not sign replacement. What is summer maintenance?
Summer maintenance is when we get a washout like we have
Yeah.
had recently, and we have to go and clean out the culverts.
Yeah,
And culverts, when it says 2,500 culverts,
it's
that's
buying the culvert.
buying it,
Right.
correct, not so much installing it. That's just buying it. Now, we have already replaced a couple culverts, and we actually have another one that we've got to replace in Harvest Lane. It's undersized and has washed out once already, and we're gonna try to.
But if you
upgrade
look
it.
at what you've done in your summer maintenance program, have you done 2/3 of what your expectation is? I guess that would be my question. Because we're not 2/3 of the way through summer yet.
If I had doubled the budget, I obviously could find places for it to go. I'm just doing the bare minimum right now to keep us
Well, I know, but
alive.
you're taking $5,000 out of it.
Correct.
So when you do that, you're bringing the balance on that line to 23,000, you've spent 46,000. So you only have half as much money as you've already spent.
So barring catastrophic summer events, are you in good shape?
Yeah, so we
Summer-wise.
take that 5 out of
I'm in
there.
good shape for the shape I'm in.
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay, I mean, is any
Can't
of
predict
this,
the future.
is any of the summer maintenance line elective? Or is it all mandatory?
Reactive.
In other
Yeah,
words, can you
it's-
say, yeah, I'll do that next year? Or I gotta do it today? I mean, how much of the 46,000 was I have to do that today?
All of it.
Okay,
We,
that doesn't make me feel any better.
well, I think honestly, that big rainstorm we had, I believe it was on June 19th,
Mhm.
that caused about $30,000 worth of
4.5
damage.
inches of rain in less than 2 hours.
Yeah,
And we haven't got all of it fixed yet. I'm doing it as we can, but I think that really took a big hit
okay.
on the budget. That was probably a
It's been a
$30,000.
unique year in the last 12 months, weather-wise.
So on the roadside mowing, let's just get through all of them, and then we'll see if we can make some little adjustments. You're talking about cutting that in half.
Yep. We're gonna keep the mower for only 2 weeks instead of 4.
So what's gonna happen next year to the mowing? Is that, I mean, it shouldn't be a big issue because it's on grass, but
Yeah,
you're gonna have some saplings kick on it.
correct. Yeah, I think it should go back
Are
to
we
the 16
targeting the
next year.
mowing?
We're gonna hit the worst spots, and that's all we're gonna do for this year. Next year, we need to get back to hitting it all.
Okay, yeah, next year we need to look at all of this to try to figure out.
Well, since 2011, mowing has been 17,000, 9,000, 8,000, 5,000, 9,000, 16,500 last year.
So 8,000 should do it, if we've historically done it for 9 in the past. I mean, maybe we gotta jump it back up next year, maybe we do that on a biennial basis. You mow hard one year and then
Yeah, but
not so hard the next.
what's interesting is, and I've had conversations with him about mowing. First of all, he's trying every year to break up a few more rocks and remove a few more stumps and trees and whatnot, and that makes the mower, instead of going at 1 mile an hour, can go a little faster. The
Yeah.
other thing is, since you've been road agent, haven't we added about 5 shoulder miles?
Absolutely, if not more. Yeah, we've added more to the mowing. And the one year that we had 5,000, it was primarily one of the companies that we all rented from went out of business, and everybody was in search, all the other towns and the state were all in search of a mower to rent, which another business popped up, but it took them a while to get
Yeah.
enough mowers for everybody.
The other thing is, in the future, are there some roads, for example, I put you onto the Votech and they did Zadidar Farms, remember, they cut the brush back?
Yep.
And that saved you a couple grand right there. All you had to do was chip it up. I'm wondering if there's some vendors out there that would say, we would do, you know, these roads for you.
Like a chain gang?
Trim them right back.
That'd be a nice thing, we put the prisoners back in stripes.
Just a
Sides.
thought.
Yeah. I have gotten prices from other companies that do the mowing. There's no savings there.
Yeah.
The ones that advertise it mail me letters, and it's still hourly. And I saw no savings. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned adding 3 miles of road, or 3 miles of curb, whatever that is. Mile and a half of road, because you got 2 sides. How many miles are we putting on this year? Any? You know, Bill's not here, so we're not a planning board. On that. Well, I mean, we need to come up with a cost per mile, if you will, so that these numbers are self-generating. It's not a guess, especially mowing, because mowing's just mowing. It's
Well,
not,
not necessarily. It's, you know,
I'm gonna mow this afternoon. It feels
yeah,
like
but it's not just all grass. Sometimes we mow, if we skip an area,
Yeah.
say like the road going to the Farrington Beach. If you skip that one year, then the next year, and you're trying to reach out and you're mowing stuff, you know,
Yeah,
that's brush that tall, slows you up a little bit. I think there is a little bit of a balance of if you do it every year versus every 2 years,
yeah.
you know, your speed goes
After
down.
about 3 years, it gets ahead of you, and now you have to start cutting brush. This is what the state's.
Well, let's do an exercise this year. Let's imagine that we only have $8,000 to mow with. Let's have the guy give us a tally.
Okay.
How much mowing did you get done for 8 grand? So here's your check. I want to know how many lineal feet or yards or however you want to do it. I prefer not to do it in rods because that confuses me.
I reviewed it for last year, and this is what I came up with,
Mhm.
if you got a second.
Okay.
He mowed 35 miles of roads, that's 70 miles of mowing. And remember, he's got, half the time you gotta drive across the state road to get there. That was 22 days of mowing at 8 hours a day for 176 hours. He mowed at 2.5 miles per hour, which is pretty fast for a big piece of equipment like that. The rental was $5,300 because the rental costs went up. Several companies went out of business. And one of them you didn't know until
Last minute.
the last minute. The operator, at $38 an hour, was $11,000. Fuel was $1,146. I don't know if there are any repairs or replacement parts, I couldn't find that out. The contract limited him, that machine could only run for 176 hours. The contract limits how many hours you can put on the machine in it.
Well, you pay extra if you go over,
Right,
correct?
run by the hour.
Okay, and the question that I never got back was how many miles were not mowed? And, that's a work in progress. That's what I came up with.
So it's $575 a mile, or, yeah, $575 a mile
Yep.
on both sides of the road. So, let's do the math, huh?
Now, there's something else that Jim and I have talked about, and that is over a period of time, and nothing is in stone, as the logs and the trees get cut and the stumps get removed, that makes it easier for mowing, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Jim's permission, I've already talked to 2 loggers who drive logging trucks, and I said, with Jim's permission, next year in the budget, can you go around and pick up all the logs and the down wood? That can legally be picked up. And if there's a log that's 20 feet long, his guy will snip it, and some of that is firewood that,
What are you doing now?
beside the roads, there's debris that interfere with mowing.
Okay, I got that. part.
Rocks and
You can't give the
logs.
wood away.
No?
No, we don't own it. The landowner owns it.
Yes, they
So
do.
maybe we should contract a logger to throw it off of our right of way, onto the landowner's
Now,
property.
he has pointed this out, and I said, is there a way to knock on the landowner's door and ask permission like that? So there are a lot of wrinkles to this.
Yeah.
This is very preliminary, but we've had discussions,
We
right?
have, absolutely.
But none of that is without cost either.
That's
So,
correct.
okay, currently, if we get back to what we're doing today, you can mow 15 miles of the road, both sides of the road. That's what your cost is. So, how many miles of road do we have? 35, isn't it? So you have to kind of pick out the 15 miles that we want to do this year, because if we take $8,500 out of your budget for mowing, it leaves, or $8,000, it leaves you with $8,500. So just doing Lloyd's calculation, which he did the big math, I just did the little math, that gives you 15 miles of mowing. The cleanup and the moving rocks. and
That's a
all that
whole
other
other
stuff.
issue.
Yeah, I mean, that might bump your $8,000 up to 17 or 18 miles, but not this year, it won't, so.
Well, there is a number of things that, since Jim has been road agent, that he's worked on. For example, when he cleans up this apron and cleans up that intersection, it now makes it easier to plow snow, then he doesn't have to have a loader in there every other storm, and he's been incremental that way, saving
And
the
that's,
town
I mean,
money.
you're $575 a mile for your mowing costs, so maybe you can creep that down to $550
Yep.
by doing those things, and then you increase reduce the amount of money you have to spend for mowing all of it.
The nice thing about, since I've been selectman and Jim's been the road agent, he's constantly looking how he can invest some money, but have it return to us where it's good for the town.
On the paving of aprons, I mean, I guess this is a good segue, is that gonna impact the mowing if we don't do any apron work?
No, we won't impact it.
And under your plan, we're not gonna do any apron work, is that realistic?
Yep, I think it's gonna have to be.
It's not gonna affect your plowing or any other parts of the budget that, going forward? I mean, I'm not.
No, it's
give
just
me a-
slowing up the
Give me a
maintenance.
brief, what does apron paving entail?
Okay, last year we did the entrance to Camp Sentinel, where it comes out the road, and it's all busted up.
Yeah.
And it's not great for the plows when you're trying to scrape that, plowing. It can stop you dead sometimes. So yeah, we got that squared away, so it's easy to plow. It's not all rough and jagged for
So are there any
drivers as well as
other
plows.
transition areas that need work this year that are gonna affect your budget going forward, I guess is what I'm asking.
No, but I mean, all dirt roads, the first 50 feet should be paved, so that when people take off to get onto the road, they're not spinning, trying to get out in front of the car or whatever. That was the main goal.
So that would be in your apron paving budget, or would that be in the paving warrant article?
That's been in the apron paving budget.
So maybe we
Forever.
should make that part of the paving warrant article in the future and get it done. So what I'm saying is just make those big transitions happen. You know, thinking of Lang Pond Road, I guess that's got a paved area for a certain distance
Correct.
off of Middle Road. But does County Road have that? I don't think it does.
It doesn't on the bottom now.
Yeah, I mean, roads like that, or
Yeah.
North Line Road, a friend of mine in particular.
Yep.
I think we should pave all of North Line Road, just saying that. That would really benefit.
Well, actually, I'm all for paving all dirt roads because I think it's money in the bank in the long run.
Yeah, I think that might be hard stuff, but.
It would be. We've already found that out.
Yeah. At any rate, I mean, by eliminating the apron paving portion of your budget or assigning it a different task,
There's not an unsafe apron right now. I can think of two
Correct.
or three that you would like to do because people just track wide. No, at the transfer station is one, for example. It's not dangerous, it's not gonna cause an accident this year, but it's something that you've had targeted when you have some extra time.
Yep. It needs to be a little wider.
oh, okay, wider.
Yep.
I was trying to think of where is there a dirt road, but I thought we got all that paved. All right, so then we go to fall maintenance, which we're just gonna hammer for $5,000. What is the difference between fall maintenance and winter maintenance?
They do overlap a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
and what are the general job descriptions of fall maintenance?
You know, I don't know if I have that with me. I actually spelled that out before in the past.
I'm sure you have on here.
Yeah. And I may have. a
I'm sorry I
copy.
missed the meeting.
Well, yeah, but if you weren't part of the budget meeting, I guess that's what I
Yes.
handed out as the budget meeting.
I didn't bring my copy.
I'm not sure. I may have one here,
I mean, is it,
I might have that in my files, I can go look.
but. Okay.
Want me to look?
Well, it's up to you guys if you.
no, that's, I can look at it after. and
Okay.
Figure it out. I mean, I guess that it's a larger question for me, whether road maintenance is just road maintenance, is just road maintenance. Or we need to.
The
break
past
it.
budget committees asked him to break it down seasonal. It used to be summer and non-summer. And when you first came aboard, they asked you to break it down. And they're the ones that came up with the labels. No, to me, whether you clean a ditch out because it rains, whether it's caused by snow or spring rain or fall rain, it's still cleaning a ditch, isn't it?
It's all maintenance. We just break up at different times of year. Fall maintenance, in general, I'm gonna say a lot of that is road grading of the dirt roads.
And also leaves.
Yep. You know, trying to clean out the ditch lines as
Yeah.
far as where it's blocking the culvert ends and the catch basins.
So you've got last year's expenses, right? You don't need to look at the list, but what did you spend last year on fall maintenance? Do you remember?
I got it. Fall maintenance last year, $28,309.50.
And how much of that was actually spent on fall maintenance, and how much of it was actually moved into some other budget line?
We didn't move any around that I'm aware of.
No,
You didn't have to move any money last year
no,
at all?
Last year, we were $8,385.99 over budget.
So you did have to move money.
well, we didn't.
Where'd the
move it.
$8,000 come from?
Somewhere else in the town budget.
All right. So, all right, and maybe this probably isn't the time for this discussion, but
This is the,
if you spent 28,000 last year, what was the thinking behind budgeting 25 for this year? I mean, it's like,
I
lose
believe-
money on every sale and make it up in volume, is that how we're doing these things?
No, I think it was because we added quite a bit of gravel to the dirt roads,
Uh-huh.
where I don't expect that this year. You spent a large number of money on gravel roads last year.
Now, in January, the selectmen sat down with you. And how much did the selectmen add to your budget that you submitted?
12,000, I believe.
Then there were 4 lines that we added to your budget, correct?
Thank God. Yep.
Now, there's something else that happened is a couple of years ago, the budget committee insisted that road preparation for 50,000 be put into the warrant article. And what that did is,
So that's prep for the paving.
that's right, well, it's locked in there, can only be used for paving. Well, you could have used it this year, couldn't you?
Sure could have.
And that's why I told you that next year I'm leading the charge for that 50,000 to go back into the operating budget. This still has to pass muster with the selectmen, but your hands got tied.
Correct.
And I've had that conversation with you. Okay?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna have to be more chat with the budget committee. I think it's not, road agents, not in that game. But-
Yes, I think there's
Okay,
some
so the
flexibility.
fall maintenance, if we were to allocate $5,000 of that to our presumed winter maintenance schedule of events, do you think 20 grand is gonna cover what we need
We're
to
just
do?
gonna have to do bare minimum and make it work. I mean, there's no other option at this point.
Yeah, you've got $800 or $900 a mile that you can mess with. It's been all over the map. I mean, it's been 31, 32, 31 consistently, and then before that you were 28. I mean, it's just, I guess I'm having a difficult time managing this without some stopgap for extraordinary events. I mean, I would rather take extraordinary events out of his budget because it just makes budgeting impossible.
Can I give you, can I expand on that? There's 2 issues that I've had with Jim, and he has listened to me. Number 1 is there was a $7,900 hit on the old 20-year-old dump truck that's used as a snowplow, and it got fixed. Well, wait a minute,
It was in an accident?
No, it was, you know, it's in disrepair, and it's the second time in 2 years it's taken a hit. The other thing is that this was the year to go with new doors and to go with an exhaust system where it needed. Well, guess what? It needed over $1,000 to bring the building up to code electrical-wise. You know, there's $8,900 out of his budget, gone.
Well, yeah, but that's not how you do that. I mean, if you're doing fixed asset work, that fixed asset work needs to be in a warrant article, or it needs to be in a fixed asset budget.
Yes.
It can't be in an operating budget.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like one of the craziest notions I ever heard was that we're gonna operate this like a business. You can't operate it like a business, because we don't get to depreciate, we don't get to do any number of things. And so we need an operating budget that is so much per mile, if you will. I mean, we're currently at $3,550 a mile just to maintain our roads and do a little apron paving.
So, one of the thoughts, I talked to Adam from the fire department, and one of our thoughts was, you know, I think I've taken about a $50,000 hit with these extraordinary storms this year, above normal operating costs. Shouldn't there be money in the emergency management fund for something like that? Shouldn't there be at least like $50,000 in there? Not that we need it every year, but what if we do? Like this year, we could have used it. You know,
Well, I mean, that's a discussion that has to happen with the budget committee and the budget hearings in the town meeting. I mean, maybe we create a non-lapsing fund for extraordinary events.
Yep.
But now we have to define what's an extraordinary event. And is it 4 inches of rain in one day? Is it a windstorm that knocks down 1 million trees? But we can't have it be, well, we got 6 inches of snow today instead of 4.
Yeah.
No, it's So you have to be careful with it, but, I mean, that's what the job of this board is, ultimately, is to manage the money.
The problem has been, my first couple of years here, there was an element, and I heard it just the other day over coffee, that he turns back $50 in an account, say he over budgeted. And I just hold my tongue when I hear that kind
You know, I mean, it's kind of a red herring.
of. Yes.
You don't create surpluses and undesignated fund balances without underspent budgets. We don't have an underspent budget with the road agent currently. So he's not participating in increasing our undesignated fund balance.
Correct.
So we need to bring him into balance so that when he's looking at, I don't know, pick a number, summer maintenance, that he can manage that number and then at the end of the day not have overspent it and hopefully underspent it. And so that going forward, I mean, I'm looking at, what do we got here? $125,000 budget for the road agent, unless I got another page.
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah, docks and bridges is another one, but at any rate, you know, I'm thinking between $6,000 and $12,000 ought to come back into the undesignated fund balance annually through managing the right numbers here, but he doesn't have the right numbers. So we need to fix that. And, but at any rate, that's getting way down the road.
Yep.
I think my concern, if we look at the whole thing where we've done what we asked you to do, which was to take those line items and find some money so we can plow the roads in December. I'm okay with the $2,000 at the road agent, okay with the $5,000 on the summer maintenance. I want to know what your plan is on mowing before I'm okay with that. Apron paving, I think you need to review that just to make sure there isn't a couple of $1,000 that needs to get spent, so that I don't break a plow or whatever. And then fall maintenance. I mean, what do we got left? We got 40. And I haven't spent anything in fall, right? Have you?
No.
You got $71,000 fall and summer left to do all of your things. So let's, for today and for the rest of this season, not worry about how it plays into this, because you obviously haven't worried about it in the past, because you were $8,000 over. Let's just assume that we got that $71,000 between summer and fall. What do I need to do? Obviously, you need to save some stuff for fall. But what do I need to do this summer with regard to the mowing, summer maintenance, and apron paving that might impact that $71,000? Okay, that's the total of summer and fall. What you have left in summer and the total fall budget. That might give you a little more flexibility in how you allocate funds. So if you think $30,000 is enough for, or $20,000 is enough for fall maintenance now, or maybe 15. I honestly don't know. I'm not a road agent, so I don't, and I haven't.
We're all predicting the weather, is what we're trying to do right now. You're
Yeah.
predicting the future weather.
Yeah,
Now, last year, we thought when we went into December, you were in really good shape.
yeah.
We had,
No, we had $4,000 left. On December 1st, we had $4,000 left in your budget.
In the
Well, I don't
in that
think
whole
so.
budget?
I just reviewed it this morning.
Uh,
It's 4,100 something. I just reviewed it.
All right, we're gonna not get in that position this year. And maybe we're in that, and I don't wanna talk about last year. I wanna talk about this year.
that doesn't sound right, but
So we need to do this kind of a review ongoing, like every month or whatever, so that we can all be comfortable with where you're gonna end up on December 1st or November 1st, whatever it is. Because I think this works but I think you need to give yourself a little more flexibility. And talk about, rather than in the summer, fall budget, rather than what did I get budgeted and what do I want to take away from it? What have I spent? So now I know what I have left, which is $46,000. And I haven't spent anything in the fall, so now I'm talking about $71,000. So from today forward, that's what your budget is. It's not from last
Right.
January. So in those
What's
two
left?
items, keep an eye on them, and then review the mowing, and make sure that you're comfortable with only mowing 15 miles, and you know which 15 miles it's gonna be, and the other 15 or 20, you are comfortable with not mowing it.
Yeah.
So. And then I think we need to talk about the emergency management budget with regards to extraordinary events for this year, and if there's any money available there. Not that I'm dying to spend it, but you never know. I mean, a tornado, tornado, who knows? But who knows what our governor will do, for Christ's sake? He's probably never going to call an emergency. You know, they certainly don't care about Tuftonboro. So
Well,
we
here
need to
is
take
where
care
you
of
and the fire
ourselves.
chief have been meeting with FEMA.
Correct.
At least you got them to come up to your office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But that may take another 6 months.
It's,
I mean, and we have
it's
to,
an
we
effort.
got today's job.
It's an effort, isn't it?
It is, and I flat out asked her, are we gonna see that, are we gonna see the money, and are we gonna see it before January 1st? And she could not,
Yeah,
she would not, answer that, she wasn't willing to answer that.
right,
She
so we need to
didn't really
budget the
know.
money we have to spend and not plan on that. And if we have emergency funds available, then maybe we've got to use some of that if something in the future happens. So we need to get on top of what we have and what we might need. And then talk to the budget committee in the town about creating something so that, I mean, these things aren't going to go away. These big storms are not going to stop happening. So we need to be prepared to do it reasonably. Not busting the bank. And there are other places we can save money. I mean, ideally, fire, police, and roads, that's our job.
Yes.
The rest of it's all sort of extra planning, I guess. Jack's not in there, is he? No.
Can I ask some other questions on your 3 accounts?
Sure.
Anything more as far as your highway budget? On the 4312 account? Do you want to respond to, or you have notes on?
I'm not sure. Which one
I
it
didn't
is.
want to jump to another category without. giving
Oh,
an
no, I
update.
think I'm good with these for now. And I agree, I can come back and tell you which roads we're gonna mow and whatnot.
Yeah, or just so you're comfortable with it. I don't want to have you come in next year and say, I don't remember having this conversation, Chip. Because we're having this conversation, and I want to make sure that when you come in next year, you're not saying, well, I didn't have money enough to do this, so I didn't do this. I want you to feel, I want to know this year what you're going to say next year, basically.
Well, here's the problem though, is, we're trying to make the budget work, and we are gonna have to cut back on some things that we'd
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to do. I
Yeah.
mean, there's gonna be some give and take.
Yeah,
We don't have an option there, it's,
yeah.
so,
I just don't want surprises, that's all I'm saying. I know you're not going to have any options. I know you're going to short mow something.
correct.
So I just want to, and I'm speaking for myself, but also for the board, I think we just need to know why you come in next year and say, okay, we did this, this, and this, and now we need this, this, and this. We have to explain it to other people. And I don't want to be that guy that says, it's a road agent. We're not going to do that. We're going to say, I know why the road agent did this, and I know why our expenses ran this way or that way.
Actually, I appreciate that.
And, yeah, because
To be able to
ultimately,
explain it.
yeah, we need to take the hit, not you. I mean, you're going to take the hit anyway, because you're.
I agree
running for
100% with what
election.
he's saying. It's a cooperative effort.
Yeah.
I
The other
appreciate
thing is, and you and I've had this conversation, is maybe it's time we make a workstation available for you upstairs. You have no office, you have no secretary. the perfect example was that upset me, is you make 35 phone calls to a certain agency in town about bridges and never get the courtesy of a response. Our secretary writes a memo and words it differently at 10 o'clock in the morning, and by 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon has a 3-page email back.
Yeah, that was a,
You know,
a joint effort, actually.
Yes, yes it is, and you were very kind not to throw anyone outside this town under the,
I mean, it's difficult to have a contractor, and we've always done this. I mean, whether it was Snuffy Smith or Steve Hunter or you, I mean, we've always had a private contractor run for road agent, with the few exceptions. Our Sandy Dow was a road agent.
I remember when her father was.
But, yeah, but he had equipment.
Mhm.
So our expectation is that he's gonna use his equipment to charge the town.
Yes,
The minute you start putting office space up, you're starting on that road towards a highway department.
yep.
And I, for one, am not ready to do that.
That's a big leap, I think, right now.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's cost effective for a town our size. I think the way we do it is cost effective. Maybe we need to massage the resources.
I was
a little
talking
bit.
about a workstation similar we make available for our assessor,
Yeah.
that we make available for our
So there's
treasurer.
no office space at the town garage?
It's
Not that's functional.
a desk when you first open the door,
Yeah.
right there, but it's in with everything else. It functions. That's not my complaint. I don't have a complaint with that. I just, I can do a little bit better maybe of showing you how we're gonna do this.
Right.
I think that's all we're at.
And it may be, I mean, do we provide you with a computer?
You don't, I'm not,
And it may be that we do the same thing that are doing with Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Is, maybe we can provide him with some more, management
Services,
equipment
yes.
if he needs it.
Sure.
That's not a decision I'm gonna make for you.
Okay,
I'm just
yeah.
suggesting it. And docks and, let's just finish the 2 pages. You got docks and bridges and permit expenses. You're currently in permit expenses, you're pretty well spent out. But in docks and bridges, you've got $2,500 left. Is that coming out of
River Reach, did you get the memo on River Reach? The docks by the church?
What was the memo? I don't remember.
Okay, I met with River Reach, Dave Ladd, and we own
Oh, yes, I did
the
get that.
first dock.
Yes.
And our share is a little bit under $2,000 because they're redoing all their docks and bringing in, codes like that. Is that something that can come out of docks and bridges this year, or should we inform them we won't be paying that bill until next year?
That would be entirely up to the selectmen. I don't know of any other expenses at this point, but you guys may be aware of other stuff, because I think
That's
Jack
the only
uses
one
that as well.
we're aware of.
That's the only one that I'm aware of. I'm not aware that you have any emergency repairs to any other docks.
I'm not aware.
They're down the road, but
How much is that bill gonna be? $1,700?
I believe so. I have the exact figures
So we
somewhere.
may have signage money there as well for the beach.
Yep.
I mean, I'd rather take it out of there than I would,
And the
more
sign,
impact on
and
the
the signs,
sign.
the signs for the dock,
Yeah.
Union Wharf, and Andy gets back to us on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The next is the, what am I doing my paper? I think there's $25,000 of encumbered funds in Lang Pond Road. That warrant article, correct?
Yes, yep, and there's some signs that need to be put up there as well.
Okay. There's 2 one-lane signs, 2 speed limit signs, remove or review current beach signage.
Wasn't there some paving involved?
If I understand it, the paving, the committee has recommended that we go with a year or 2 to see how it is, and then budget for that in a couple of years. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Bill has been talking to individuals that other than cutting the brush around the culverts, that you don't need to extend the channel. Is that your understanding, or you were going to see if there was a vendor that would do something like that? You have a barge and you work with water more than we do. What's your recommendation?
I think that's gonna be a little bit of a expense. We're gonna have to have a separate permit for that.
I
And
thought Bill decided or informed us that was like our, I think I called it our little mangrove
Yes.
swamp. It's filtration for the water coming in.
This here?
So we should just leave it be.
But these two need to be brushed out a little bit, correct?
yes.
Just where the beavers build their dams back.
Right.
Well, I think it's, you know, just a matter of over time that happens if you don't
Right.
do something at the, when you can.
The rain garden and the turnaround, that needs some work.
Yep, we talked about.
Now, have you contacted Dave Ford? Because I'm not sure whether you just rake the leaves out or you have to remove material. Because rain gardens are, because that was dug down, what, about 8 feet, wasn't it?
Not quite that far, but I think what we had to do is, my understanding was we need to excavate out the top 2 feet and then put more stone, erosion stone back in.
Okay, and there's plenty of money left in the warrant article, encumbered funds to do that, correct?
Yes.
And, those costs don't come out of your budget, do they?
I'm
The
hoping not.
signs don't? I mean, in my mind, they don't.
Okay.
Okay, and also there's some work on the turnaround where it needs to be leveled out because over the years, plows have gouged it out. No, so that is something that you can get done this summer, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay. Is there more work to be done on the road? I know the rain has just put potholes there, or is it, what are your plans there?
But I think it's gonna have to be graded out again,
Yeah.
and possibly add a little more gravel to it as well.
Right, and it's my understanding that that can come out of the encumbered funds, correct?
Yes.
I mean, check with Diane first to make sure there's still funds there. The beaver control, have you located a vendor, and are you gonna work with Wolfboro, or what is your plan there?
We have located a vendor that we've been using, and the beaver problem seems to have stopped there.
Okay.
We seem to be in good shape. We haven't had any
My
problems there for a while.
thought is, and it's up to the board to make the decision, is, at least for this year, the beaver control can come out of the warrant articles, because it's saving the road, isn't it?
Sure is.
Okay. Hopefully the kids that were tipping the grade over have stopped.
Yeah,
Someone had a conversation with one of the fathers.
okay.
Okay, to review, we've talked about your budget, Lang Pond Road, Town Beach, the docks. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we've given them just about enough to do, haven't we?
Yes.
Still gotta take care of the roads.
Right, they still has work to do. This is my thought, in a couple of weeks, if we have a work session, could you give us a tour of your facility? And we just think about maintenance on truck, maintenance to the buildings. One of the things that drives that is Clay. I just had Wentworth do a nice job painting and repairing the buildings and whatnot.
That might be a good idea, just so that we can see the maintenance that may be needed on the outside. It's probably time for,
I mean,
so-
you've really tried to mix and match and whatnot. One of the things I'd like you to explain to us is it really doesn't have a heating system, does it?
Well, it does, it's just more, it's more of a temporary one.
It's an adjunct thing to add, you did the priorities last year, the doors and the air system. Now, does the air system seem to be working good?
I don't know if I breathe any differently, but I am assuming it's working well.
That's important. It's made a difference in the fire stations. So.
Yeah, well, I guess we're just hoping we're getting the particles out of the air that cause cancer. That's the biggest thing we're looking for.
When do we want to get together with them on the buildings? Is there things you'd like to talk with them about down the road?
Yeah, let's, I mean, we got a summer here, we can do a
Yep.
lot of that stuff in the fall. I mean, I got a lot of work to do, I can't be messing around with a road agent.
Okay.
I'm expecting he's gonna get his job done and look at his building.
Well, it's good weather.
So why don't we just plan on going through this again, this exercise again sometime next month,
Okay.
and see how we're doing?
Okay, that'd be good. And maybe we'll pick a time for the
Yeah.
fall to review the building and
Yeah,
the
that'd be
drainage
great.
problem that we have.
Yeah,
Also,
drainage.
now the other thing is if you want to come up with a list or an outline or something like that, so you can start.
Yeah, if you have, a
Thinking.
for instance, you just mentioned off the top of your head, drainage problem. The best way to approach me when you have a problem like that is to tell me how much it costs, what needs to be done. So I don't have, well, go find out what it's gonna cost, or do this or do that. So we don't have multiple meetings. So if you have an issue that you wanna address, get as much of it put together before we talk. And that way we can make decisions as opposed to having you come into multiple meetings. I mean, that's just a waste of your time.
Yep.
Okay?
Well, one of the issues you need to be working on from Lloyd Wood's point of view is the truck that's 20 years old. I've been taught that when you start spending 10% of what the purchase price of a vehicle was, a commercial vehicle was, every year, it's time to say, hey, wait a minute.
How many miles on it?
It's not that, it's a hard subject because it doesn't have a lot of miles.
Yeah,
It has a lot of winters.
yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know that we have spent 10%
Yeah.
of the purchase price every year.
Let's look at our maintenance.
It's a $150,000 truck.
No, it was purchased for 79,000.
Okay, that's how you do it.
It's the same thing, in my mind, cruiser vehicles. You multiply the mileage times 3, because police vehicles, one door is used, and jackrabbit starts and all that. That's the formula that I've come up with in my experience. Doesn't mean that I'm right, but that's what I go by.
What are the issues with the truck?
It just has small maintenance things that come up constantly, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's,
The engine's fine.
Yep, runs great.
Transmission's fine. Rust.
the rust is a little bit of an issue, but we fixed a lot of it in the last.
Has anyone inspected the frame? Because the frames
Oh, yeah.
separate. Has the state inspector come in and
Uh,
inspected it?
No, but it is.
That's what
part
they
of-
do with the fire trucks.
It's part of the inspection, the annual inspection though. We did clean the frame down and paint that, I don't know how many years ago, but it has been done. I know that on the double frames, they do get framing, they get rust going in between on those. I don't think that's the case on this one, but.
No, to make it clear, this is where Lloyd Wood's coming from. As I understand it, you verified this, your guys are done plowing roads in the winter storms 4 hours earlier because you have the big truck and you have the smaller truck.
It works great.
And you mix and match, and it makes sense. However, 2 or 3 years ago, when the truck went down to Rochester, and I went and looked at it, and they went through it, the understanding is we fix it once, and then
What do we do in Rochester for repair?
Transmission,
and I was there, and they had it in pieces, and
Transmission?
it wasn't like the
transmission.
transmission went bad as much as the housing broke on it. And it looked like it'd been cracked for years, but it looks a bit.
And there were
So
other,
we do a rebuild or a
yes, they did a rebuild, and when they came across something that was rusted, they fixed it. It was, the running gear was not as bad off as was first thought. Right?
Correct, we actually got it done a little bit cheaper than they originally estimated, so. it,
But the budget committee at that point was under the impression that that was a temporary fix, and at some point that truck, in a year or two, was coming off the lot.
Well, at some point in time, you do replace equipment. I mean, it just makes sense because it's still got some value. So you recover some of your asset. And if your maintenance budget is consistently at, $8,000 or $10,000, and I don't know where, I'm just picking a number.
Yep.
Then you have to factor that into, the reduced cost of new. So, yeah, I mean, the discussion should start.
And there's another interesting wrinkle, which is complementary. He wanted to put money aside every year, for a new truck, and he had the design and the specs. And Fenton Varney, to his credit, stood up and says, I moved the warrant article in the amount of $150,000. He found a truck, you added a something to it, and it's basically, the guys who drive trucks tell me that's a $200,000 truck that you got for $165. I didn't, it was 150 in the warrant article, and you put 10,000 in from your budget.
Correct.
And here again, it has worked flawlessly.
That's
It's,
great.
it's a normal truck, and when it gets a flat tire, it gets a flat tire, or when a windshield wiper breaks, but as you've explained to the selectmen many times, you now, the smaller truck, you get halfway into Canaan Valley, now have to come back for another load of sand. Now, your truck is much more efficient, so. He has a track record of knowing how to take care of the equipment.
All right, well, we'll talk about the trucks later.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote that down. I'm gonna come up with numbers for you so that we
Yeah.
all are aware of what
Yeah,
we're
so we know
spending.
what we're going forward with.
Yep.
Okay.
And have you read the Skip Hurt report that he did a few years ago about when we have an elected road agent and how much he really saves the, you guys save the town?
I never read it or heard about it. It was before I was.
There's a copy here. I go to every other town, and it's amazing the fleet of pickup trucks they have. Every employee has a pickup truck, so.
Well, it's no different than a private contractor road agent elected.
Yeah.
And he has to supply equipment for his
Right.
operation, so the equipment exists, it just isn't a town-owned form. I mean, the bigger issue when you go to a highway department is, in my estimation, is you do lose the elected official control.
Yeah.
So you're not talking about bureaucratic operation versus elected operation. So,
Well, it seems to be working for Tufton Bros.
yeah.
He's obviously doing something right. He's been reelected, what, 3 times?
Well, part of it's gotta be that nobody else wants the job, right?
Thank you for your time. Let's do this in early next month, and feel free to pick the 1 or 2 topics, so we'll start with your conversations.
Okay.
Like that, so. Anything else from the road agent?
No, we're good.
Anything else that you want to talk about, Joe? I'm all set.
No, I'm good. Just Mrs. Weeks. You know?
Thank you.
No, just
Well,
interested
what
in
the hell are you
hearing.
doing here?
I was interested in hearing this conversation.
You've said.
Is this a public meeting?
Yeah.
Max, is this public?
Here, I'm zooming in on your face.
All right,
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. How'd we do now that we're adjourned? Do okay?
Yeah, good. Lloyd, you gave a number out of, the operator costs $38 an hour,
Yeah, can I?
came up to $11,000. If you multiply the $38 an hour times 176 hours, it's only $6,700.
I went from the bills.
So there's a
That's why-
disconnect there.
It's
That's why I
100%
brought it up.
profit margin.
You know, for example, when I asked about it, what if you had to have a guy flagging? You know, that's part of the mowing budget.
Really?
You know,